Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series on explanation of questions from the chapters of SAS Certification Preparation Guide. So here in this video we are taking a look at the chapter which is related to referencing files and setting options. So if we see the first question which says if you submit the following program, how does the output look? So we have a proc tablet being run and proc mains is being run and we are being asked how does the output look like. So the options, there are certain options being used which actually control how the output looks like. So here we have the page size option is being used. So page size option is meant for controlling how many number of lines that could be printed on a particular page. So this is longitudinal or vertical number of lines control. And then on each page, say for example, if we have multiple output pages being generated, multiple output with multiple pages is being generated. So each would be numbered with a sequence from on the top right of that output window. So if we use no number options, this number would not be printed. So that a option for controlling the number of lines on the page is being used and then no number is being used, which means it suppresses the page number. And then we have the proc tablet. This might generate some output in the output window. And then the next option of line size is equal to 80 is being used. So page size is meant for controlling the number of lines on the page, but line size is meant for controlling the number of characters that could be printed on a particular uh, line in the output window. So we have three options being used. Page size is equal to 55, no number and line size. But line size option is being set only after the proc tablet is being run before the proc mains is being executed. So we will now see what happens with the options and see what is the correct one. So it says the proc mains output has a print line width of 80 characters. So as line size is equal to 80 is being used, the output from proc mains will have the width of 80 characters. This is true, but the proc tablet output has no print line width. So if we do not specify the line size using print line width using line size equal to option, the default of 78 from SAS would be used. This does not mean that it doesn't have a print line width, but the default option set in the SAS session. So in SAS 9.4, it is 78. So this value would be used for proc tablet, but for proc mains, it would be increased to 80 because we are explicitly specifying the line size option as 80. So this is not the correct answer. So then we have the second option which says the proc tablet output has no page numbers, but proc mains has page numbers. So as we have used no number option here, so this will remain in effect until we manually change it to number or we close the SAS session. So as this is enabled even before proc tablet is being run and it is not being reset before proc mains is being executed. So this no number will remain in effect and it is applicable to both proc mains and proc tablet. So this option says that it is not applicable for page numbers. It says proc mains output will have page numbers. But as no number is in effect, this output from proc mains will not have our page numbers. So this is also wrong. And then the next option says each page of output from both proc steps is 55 lines long. So we have set the page size option before proc tabulate and we have not reset it or changed anything before the proc mains is being run. So which means page size is equal to 55 is in effect for both proc tabulate and proc main. So for both procs it is 55 lines and for both the procs it says has no page numbers because no number is being enabled even before the proc tablet is being run. So and it has not been reset before proc main. So this is also true. And it says the proc mains output has a print line width of 80 characters. So as we are explicitly stating that it will be 80 line size. So before the proc mains, so the output generated from proc mains will use the option of 80. So this is correct here. So as all of them seems to be correct, so third option seems to be okay, but we'll take a look at the last option before concluding this is the correct. So the last option says the date does not appear on output from either proc step. So the default is date option. So, and we are not controlling or suppressing the printing of date with any options. So it will appear for both the outputs from proc tablet and proc means. So this is not the correct answer. So because the default option is date, which means the date would be printed in the output on each page. So as we have not explicitly made it as no date, so this option is not correct. Let us now see if the third option is correct or not. It says our response is correct. Let's move on to the next question. So in order for the date values of 5th May 1955 and 4th May 2046 to be read correctly, what value of year cutoff is equal to option have to be used? So again, year cutoff option comes into effect only when we are trying to read date values with year in two-digit format, year in two digits. So date format, year cutoff comes into effect when we are representing a year only in two digits instead of, say, for example, 2023. If we are just saying 23, so it will go and use the option set using year cutoff is equal to option to how to read this 23, whether it is 1923 or 2023 or so on. So, but here the full year is being specified. So, irrespective of the value in year cutoff is equal to option, these two date values would be read properly. So, the correct answer should be any possible option. So, it says any value between 1947 and 1954 inclusive, 1955 or higher, 1946 or higher, and any value. So based on our understanding, so it seems to be any value. So let us select that option and then see if it is correct or not. Before that, let's clear the annotations and then submit. So it says our response is correct. So it says as long as you specify an informant with the correct field for reading and the entire date value, your cutoff option does not affect the date values that have 4-digit years. So let us move on to the next question. So when you specify an engine for a library, you're always specifying, this is kind of a theoretical question. So when we are specifying an engine for a library, so we are actually specifying the format for files that are stored in the library. Say for example, if we write a libname statement, so we have libname statement followed by libref. Say for example, I am reading a data from my Excel file. So I am naming the libref as my ex, and then if I have the Excel format as the extension is file XLSX, so I'll specify the engine name here and then I'll specify the path for the Excel file here. So when I am specifying the engine XLSX, it is actually referring to the file format for the files that are stored in the library. So the first option is correct option. So let us select that and then see how it works. It says our response is correct. A SAS engine is is a set of internal instructions that SAS uses for writing to or reading from files in a SAS library. Each engine specifies the file format for files that are stored in the library, which in turn enables SAS to access files with a particular format. Some engines access SAS files and other engines support access to other vendors' files. So let's move on to the next question. So as this was a theoretical question and much explanation was not needed, so I'll move on to the next question. So we'll now see what is the next question. So which statement prints a summary of all the files stored in the library named area 51? So we are looking for something which prints the summary of all the files stored in the library named area 51. So let us now take a look at the options. The first option says proc contents data is equal to area 51 dot underscore all underscore. If we want to print the summary or refer all the files present in a library when using proc contents or proc datasets, we need to use this keyword underscore all underscore. So this is being used correctly here. And the library name is also mentioned correctly, area 51 dot. So let's remove this and try to see. Area 51 is there and underscore all underscore is there. So if we do not use this NODS option, which is an abbreviation for no details, so proc contents prints along with the list of all datasets present in the library. It will also print the variable level information and other metadata for each of the datasets. So here we are trying to print a summary of all files. So Node.js should be present and area 51 is a library, and then we are requesting the information for all datasets. So underscore all underscore keyword should be used. So this seems to be okay. So but let's take a look at the other options and see why they are not correct. So here if we see the area 51, after that we do not have a period or dot. So libname and the underscore all underscore has to be separated with a period or dot in between. So we do not have that here. And similarly, here we do not have the dot, and the option for suppressing to print the metadata of all the datasets present in it. So the option is NODS or no details. So but here no OBS is being used. This is not a correct SAS option. So this is not correct. And then on the last option, the library is specified, but and there is no dot convention for underscore all underscore, and a dot is being used after the underscore all underscore and in between NODS. So this is also not correct. So let us see if the first option is correct or not. So it says our response was correct. So let us move on to the next question. It says the following proc print output is created immediately after proc tabulate output. So this is a screenshot of the output from a proc print. So they are saying that this was created immediately after the proc tabulate output, which means no additional statements are being executed, and it is like proc tabulate, after which we have proc print. So it says which SAS system options were specified when the report was created. So here we'll have to take a look at the things that are being printed. So we have the page number being printed as 1. So they have also specified that this is run after a proc tabulate. So proc tabulate would have printed some pages of output, at least one page or so. But when we are printing output into the output window, the numbers would be incremented sequentially. So say for example, if the proc tabulate produce one page output, the output produced by the proc print would start from 2. So but here the number is 1, and then we have on the second line the date is being displayed. So we have a system option which controls whether to print the date information in the output or not. So if we specify date, so it would print, and if we specify no date, it would suppress printing this date value in the output. So we are looking for some options which are related to this page number, and then the options related to date. Now let us see what is being given in the options. So the first option says OBS is equal to date and no number. So if no number would have been used, so what would have happened? This number would not have been printed. So this option is not correct for that reason. And then the second option says page number is equal to 1 is being used. So as we have discussed, if we are continuously printing something, the page numbers would be incremented sequentially. So as this has number 1, so we have an option to reset the page numbers, that is page no is equal to 1. So the page no is equal to option should have been used so that the output generated from proc print is having 1, because we previously had some output generated by proc tabulate. So this option should be present for this to be correct. And then we also discussed that for this date to be appearing, so we should have the date option enabled. So both of these things are handled here. So this seems to be the correct answer. But let us now take a look at the other options also before concluding why this is the case. And then the third option said number and date only. So if this was not 1 and if this was incremented by some other number other than 1, as this is generated before after a proc tablet output, so this could have been correct, number and date only, but this is now having a value of 1, so this should have been reset. That could only be done by using page number is equal to option. So this is not correct for that reason. And the last option says none of the above, but based on our understanding of the question, second option seems to be correct. So let us check if that is the case. So this is our answer is correct. So let us now move on to the next question. So which of the following program correctly references a SAS dataset named sales analysis that is stored in a permanent SAS library? So this question is related to the name of the dataset and name of the library. So let us now try to see where this sales analysis is being used. So we have this as a dataset name. So here in this case, two-level naming convention is being used. On the right hand side, we have the sales analysis is being specified. So this is a dataset name. And in the second option also we have sales analysis is being used and it is specified towards the right. So which means it is the dataset name. And then here if we see the name of the dataset is quarter one, but the option it says the libref is being specified as sales analysis. So we are looking for the cases where SAS analysis is the dataset name. So this is not the case. So this is not correct because here the name of the dataset is quarter one, name of the library is sales analysis. And then here we have the fourth option in which again sales analysis is specified as the name of the dataset. So we have three options from which we need to select only one. So this question is talking about referencing the data from a permanent SAS library, which is a permanent data library name. So this question is also testing our understanding on the naming conventions for the libraries. So which is naming conventions for libref. So for librefs, we can have a maximum of 8 characters and then it should begin with underscore or alphabet and the subsequent characters can be underscore or alphabet or digits. So here let's now check our options. So here in the first option if we see sales library, this is clearly more than 8 characters. So this is not a valid libref. So this fails for that reason. And then in the second option if we see it says sales underscore 99. So sales underscore 8. This is 5 and this is 3 characters. So the overall width is 8 and it is following all the naming convention rule. It is beginning with a alphabet and it only has subsequent characters can either be alphabets or underscore or digits. So it has all the rules. So this seems to be okay. And then now let us take a look at the last option where sales analysis was specified as the name of the dataset. So if we now see on the fourth option, so the libref is specified as 1999 data. The overall width is 8, but if we see the libref is beginning with a digit. As per the standard rules for naming convention of libref, so we cannot start it with a digit. So this fails for that reason. So the option seems to be second option seems to be the correct one. Let us clear the annotations and submit the answer and then see if it is correct. It says our response is correct. Let us move on to the next question. So which time span is used to interpret two-digit year values if the year cutoff is equal to option is set to 1950. So year cutoff, any value specified in the year cutoff option would be used to describe the from that year to the next 100 years. So if we are setting the option of year cutoff to 1950, so it spans for 100 years, which this means it ends in 2049. So if we are specifying 1950, so it would span from 1950 to 2049. So let us see if we have that option. So it looks like it is the first option here. So let's select that and then see if this is correct. It says our response is correct. So let us now move on to the next question. So it says assuming you are using SAS code and not special SAS windows, which one of the following statements is false? So if we see here, it says that we are using SAS code and not special SAS windows. So which one of the following statements is true? It says libname statements can be stored within a SAS program to reference SAS library automatically when you submit the program. Yes, we will be able to write libname statements within the program, and which when gets executed, the librefs would be assigned. So this is okay, but we are trying to look for a statement which is false. So when you delete a libref, SAS no longer has access to the files in the library. However, the contents of the library still exist in your operating system. So what are we actually trying to do with the libname statement? So we are actually accessing the files present on a particular folder. So we are assigning a short name which we call it as libref to the contents present in this folder. So if we remove or deassign the libref within a program, so it only breaks the link between your SAS session and your external folder, but it does not actually delete the files. So on your folders present in your operating system. So this is also correct. So the third option says librefs can last from one SAS session to another. So this is true only if we use SAS special windows. So if we are if we close a SAS session, so all the libraries assigned would be closed if we are executing from in the form of a program. So they do not stay across sessions. So again, if we want to have the libraries recreated, we will have to run that program which contains the libname statements. So librefs do not last from one session to another if we are because we are asked to assume that we are using SAS code. So this seems to be false because it says they last from one session to another, but this is not the case if we are running the programs using SAS code without any special windows. So, and let us take a look at the last option to see if before we conclude. So you can access files that were created with other vendor software by submitting a libname statement. So in the same video, we have seen an example earlier where we can access files using XLSX libname SAS engine on the libname statement. So similarly, there are other engines for SPSS and other things. So we will be able to access other vendors software files by submitting a libname statement. So this is also correct. So the correct answer seems to be option 3 as this is false. So let us clear the annotations and then try submitting our third option and see if this is correct. It says our response was correct. Now let us move on to the next question. It says what does the following statement do? So the general syntax for a libname statement is that we will have to specify the name of the library which is libref and then followed by the engine name. So the immediately the option that comes after the libname keyword is the name of the library, and then after that we'll have to specify the engine. Say for example in the previous example we have specified it as XLSX. So the third keyword would become the engine name. So what is actually happening here? A libref named OSIRIS is being created and it is referring the engine SPSS. So let us now see if we have any option which is related to that. So it says defines a library called SPSS using the O series engine. No, we are actually creating a library called O series and using SPSS engine. So the second option says defines a library called O series. This seems to be correct using the SPSS engine. So second option seems to be correct, but let's go through the other options before concluding. So it says defines two libraries called O series and SPSS using the default engine. No, we cannot define two different libraries within a single lib name statement. So, and it says defines the default library using O series and SPSS engine. This is also not correct. So the correct answer seems to be second option. Let's check if this is the correct one. It says our response is correct. Let's move on to the next question. What does the following option statement do? So here we have an option statement which says page size is equal to 15 and no date. So we have covered something similar in the first one or two questions of this video. So what does page size do? So page size is meant for capturing the number of lines on a particular page. And then by default SAS prints the date value in the output window, and if we want to suppress it, we want to use no date option. So let's see the options given. The first option says suppresses the date and limits the page size of the log. So page size is meant for the output window but not for log. So this is not correct answer. Suppresses the date and limits the vertical page size of text output. Yes. So whenever we execute SAS program, there can be two different kinds of output. One is the output in the output window if you are using PC SAS, and the other thing can be your results viewer, which is your HTML output. So there are some options which are specifically meant for controlling the output in lean output window, but not in the results HTML window. Page size is one such option which controls the number of lines in the output generated in the output window only. So this is correct answer. But let's take a look at the other options before we conclude. So the third option says suppresses the date, so which is correct, and limits the vertical page size for text and HTML output. So this is what I just covered, that it only page size is applicable only for the output generated in the output window, but not for results generated in HTML. So as this cannot be controlled with page size option, so this is not correct. And it says the last option says suppresses the dates and limits the horizontal page size for text output. Page size is meant for controlling the vertical page size but not the horizontal page size. So we have an additional option called ls is equal to or line size is equal to control the horizontal page size, which is the number of characters to be printed on a line. So this is not meant for horizontal page size, it is meant for vertical page size. So the correct option seems to be 2, but let's check if that is the correct one. It says our response is correct. Thank you for watching and keep learning.